So I would again like to welcome you to our webinar, and in today's webinar what we are going to see, so basically what are the new features that came up in the Marshmallow Android release, and I'm also going to show you the simple application which I developed using the Marshmallow. Okay, so I'm seeing quite a few candidates have joined this webinar, and it's great. Okay, so let's start with the webinar. So let's see what we are going to cover today. So in this particular webinar, I would be talking about one of the new features that has came up in the Android 6.0 SDK, that is data binding. So data binding is something like, so in Android 6.0 they invented a concept using which you can directly create the layouts, you can directly create the UIs with a set of model data, so that whenever you will run the application, it will show you the data out of the box. You don't need to write any code for that. So data binding is a feature that came up in the Android basically with the 6.0, using which you can just feed a data into your UI without writing much of the code. They came up with the percent layout. So percent layout is a kind of layout they added in the 6.0. So using this, you can create a UI which can add the elements into it with equal sizes, something like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the simple application which I developed using the Marshmallow. Okay, so I'm going to project my screen so you can see. So this is the application which I developed using the Marshmallow. So as you can see over here, so they invented a new button, a new kind of layout in the Marshmallow that you can see in the bottom. So it is like a TV-like icon, using which basically I can select, like, I want to see the latest trending movies, or if I click on that particular icon, you can see the effect. It is having the click effect, and if I click on it, it is just going to show me the list of latest trending shows. So basically, this particular UI has been developed using the latest recycler view, updated recycler view, and it was added in the Lollipop, but it has basically, I would say, it has improved a lot in the latest release of Android. They also came up with the concept, something called as coordinate layout. So if I scroll this application, basically, yeah, so there is a quite a little lag. So okay, so just give me a second, I'll just connect my mobile. So you will notice one thing here. So you can see, so when I basically scroll this particular view, you can see the bottom button is automatically getting disappeared, and on the top the toolbar is basically hidden when you scroll the contents. So this is something called as coordinated layout that they introduced in the Marshmallow. So using this, you can create a list view in which you can have a lot of dynamic items. So basically, when you scroll the list view, it is going to hide all other elements, and it is going to show only that particular part which user is interested in viewing. Also, when I click on any particular item over here, so what is going to happen is it is going to show me the details about that item. So you can see something like this. So here what I'm getting here, I'm getting the details about that movie, and so they also added a parallax component, so that basically when you scroll the contents, you can see. So on the header we have got the image. Oops, sorry. So on the header I have got the image over there. So on the header I have got the image over there, and basically what happens, so when you scroll the list, it is going to perform the parallax effect, so that image is getting scrolled by some different speed, and you are scrolling the elements by some different speed. So these are the all new animation techniques which has been added in the latest version of Android, that is Marshmallow. So I have got basic question, and again guys, I would really like to encourage you, in case if you have any common questions related to the Android development or related to the course which Edureka offers on the Android development, feel free to ask me those questions in the question panel, and I would be definitely answering you over that. So one of the questions I have received from Raju, so can we do Android development entirely in mobile? I mean, without using the computer? So yes, guys. So there is a software available on the Play Store that is called as AIDE. So using AIDE, you can basically write the entire source code on your mobile, and you can compile the source code and you can run the app on the mobile. So yes, that is definitely possible, Raju. But again, the speed at which you will be writing the application on the computer, it won't be same as the speed that you will be writing the application on the mobile. Okay, so again, in the Marshmallow, they added the concept of runtime permissions. So in case if you are the Android users, you must have seen like when you install the application, usually it will ask you for the list of permissions before using the application itself or before installing the application itself. So it will tell you something like this application will have access to your camera, your SD card, your contacts. So sometimes we keep wondering, right? So it is a basic application. What is the need of requesting so many permissions? So in Android 6.0, they introduced the concept of runtime permissions. So what is meant by that? So now in Android 6.0, when you install the application, it is not going to ask you any permission. You can just install that application as it is. But when you will try to access the camera through the application, it will show you the pop-up message. This application is trying to access your camera. Do you want to allow it or not? Something like that. Okay, so something like that. So this was the concept of the runtime permissions that was introduced in the Android Marshmallow. Okay, so I have got a question from Alchana. What are the software requirements for your application? Which are okay, so Alchana, yes, I'm going to take you through those things. So yes, guys, I'm going to take you through the IDE that we are going to use for creating such kind of applications. So let me take you through that. So okay, let me open that particular part. So this is something about me. So I actually forgot to introduce myself. So myself Vipul, and I have been associated with Edureka since I would say last 2 years, and I have been teaching Swift. So Swift is the latest language that Apple introduced for creating the iOS applications. So I'm teaching Swift and the Android application development with Edureka. So it's been almost 2 years I've associated with the Edureka, and apart from that, I also work with the Deloitte Digital. So Deloitte Digital is the MNC company in which I basically work on creating Android applications and Google Glass, Apple iWatch kind of applications. So primarily nowadays I'm working on the Android application. So the application that we generally use for creating the Android app, it is called as Android Studio. So Android Studio is the software that usually you would be using basically for creating the Android applications. So it is available for Windows PC, it is available for MacBook, it is available for Linux. So it is like 800 MB of software which you can download and install, and once you install it, you can immediately start creating the applications on the Android. So I got a question from Vikas. You're looking for the Android course from startups. So yes, because definitely. So guys, this is just a webinar. So the purpose of this particular webinar is to show you some of the new concepts that are introduced in the Marshmallow. But definitely, once you join the Android course with the Edureka, we would be starting the Android development right from the scratch. So we would be starting right from the hello world, and at the end of the course, you would be creating a similar kind of application in which you can download the data from the internet, you can show that data on your UI and some all those sort of things. So for downloading the Android Studio, you should have minimum Core 2 Duo CPU. So Core 2 Duo or Core i5 or Core i7, it is more preferred. You should have a minimum 2 GB of RAM, and once you have these requirements, you can straight away go to the Android Studio website and you can download the Android Studio over there. So let me take you through the Android Studio. So once you download and install the Android Studio, so you will be seeing this kind of screen basically. So when you start the Android Studio, you will see the list of projects, and you will be getting then options to create a new project, or you can also import the existing project in your Android Studio. So you can click on I want to create a new application. Application name, I want to keep it as Hello World. Click on next. So generally when you're creating an application in Android, you would always declare like what is the minimum version you're supporting. So something like, so if you're creating an application, movie application, you would say that this application will run only on the Android versions 4.0 and above. It won't run any versions below 4.0. So it is very similar to the softwares which you install on your Windows computer. So the softwares will always declare something like the software will run only on Windows 7 and above. It won't run below Windows 7, right? So same thing happens while creating the Android apps also. You have to declare like what is the minimum version you are going to support. So if you click on this help me choose link, so Studio will also help you out with the chart which will show how many percentage of the people's using which version. So you can see over here. So there are almost 88.7 percentage of the people they are using ice cream sandwich and above. So based on this, basically we decide what is our minimum version we have to keep over there. Okay. So I will choose the minimum version. I will click on next. And when you create the Android application, it is going to give you basically a lot of things over there. Like it will give you the blank activity. So you must have seen all these types of applications in your daily life if you are using the Android mobile. So you would see something like a blank activity, master detail flow. So master detail flow is something like on the tablets on the left hand side you will be seeing a list of items, and if you click on any particular item you will see the details on the right hand side, something like that. So that kind of application you can create, or I can create an application where I will be getting a sliding panel which you usually see in your Gmail application. So if you want to open the inbox or the outbox, what you do, you usually swipe from the left hand side and it is going to show you the navigation panel and you can click any item from that. Or you can create this scrolling activity, something like that. Okay, so let's take an example of the blank activity. I'll click on next and click on finish. Okay, so usually you will select a particular template, and generally if you want to write the Android applications, so there are certain prerequisites you have to keep in mind. Something like, so if you want to develop the applications for the Android, you should have the basic understanding of Java or C Sharp or any program language which deals with the object oriented concept. Because in Android, the primary language that we use for creating the applications is the Java. So Java is the primary language which you will be using for creating the application, and you would be creating the UI in the XML. So I hope many of you must be aware about the XML programming language. So XML is not a programming language, rather I would say it is kind of scripting. So you would always have the starting element, closing elements. So basically UI we always create in XML, and a programming logic or the business logic we write it in Java. So basic knowledge of Java or C Sharp and a basic knowledge of XML, it would help you a lot for learning Android with quite easily and at faster pace. Okay, so generally what we do is we create the applications in such a way, and finally what we do is we click on the run icon. So what I'm going to do over here, I'm going to connect my mobile and I will run this application on the mobile. Okay, so software that I am using for showing my mobile screen on the PC, it is Voicer. So VYSOR. So this is an application using which you can showcase your mobile screen on the computer. So it is still in beta phase. So sometimes it is not very smooth. So what I'll have to do is I'll have to reconnect the device to my computer so that it will start showing the screen. I'll close it. Okay. Now what I can do is, so if you don't have access to the mobile or if you are not able to connect your mobile, so Android also come up with the built-in emulator. So emulator is something like if you don't have the physical device with you, you can basically use the emulator for running the Android contents. And yes, Ravi, so please go ahead with your question. And Archana, yes, in shortly I will also explain about the course contents, what is the duration of course and the fees. So yes, I'm going to cover all those things. Okay, so you can see. So this is the Android emulator. So if you have access to this particular emulator, so even if you don't have access to the physical device, still you can run your applications on the emulator and check like how they are behaving. If there is any error in your application, are the application behaving like as expected? So all those sort of things. So I'll start the emulator and I will run the application. So you can see. So without writing a single line of code, Android always starts the application with some template. So now what we are getting over here is, you can see we are getting a simple hello world application, and in the hello world application we are getting a button at the bottom. So usually this application is written using the Java for creating the business logic. So when I'm clicking on this particular button, what is happening? It is shifting up and it is showing us some pop-up message at the bottom. So that business logic, it is written in Java. Like if you click on the button, something should happen. So where we write that, we write it in Java. And I also want to say something like I will have a blue toolbar on the top, then I will have a pink button. So it is also called as fab icon at the bottom. So all these things you basically declare in the XML file. So appearance is going to be done in the XML and the business logic will be in Java. So this is how you create the application in Android, and you can always make changes to the application. Something like instead of text view, I want to have a button over there. Okay, so I will create a button and I will say that my button text is, so it is all written in the XML. So I'm creating the button over here, and we will write a button title as click me. Okay, and if you run the application, so basically what it is going to do, it is going to display you the button on the top. Okay, so you can see. So I just declare the button in the XML, and now what is happening is, so when you click on that particular button, so it is giving you the effect. So if I want to show the pop-up message, or if I want to perform any business operations, then I will have to write that particular code in the Java file, something like that. So this is how basically you create the application in the Android. And previously, what used to happen? So we used to write a lot of lines of code to show the contents in the UI. So sometimes what we used to do, we used to download the contents from the internet, and whatever contents that you downloaded, so all those contents you used to show in the UI. So it was kind of tedious process. So starting with the Android version 6.0, they introduced a new concept that is called as data binding. So data binding is the concept using which what you can do is something like, I'll give you the abstract example. I would not go in much more details because you might not be comfortable about the advanced concept in Android, because you might be at the beginner's level. So I will just give you the essence of what is data binding. So what is the data binding is something like, so as I shown you, you can create the UI in the XML file. So here we have a basic UI with the two labels. So in Android, each label is called as text view. So we have got the two labels, and on first label, I want to show the user's first name, and on the second label, what I want to show the user's last name. Okay, so I want to show two labels, one below each other. On first label, I want to show the username, first name, and the last name. So previously, what we used to do, we used to write all the logic in the Java file for getting the user's name and putting it in label 1, then getting the user's last name and putting it in label 2. But now it is no longer needed. So you can just declare the fields in the XML file. I can declare something like variable name is equal to user, and from where it is going to get the values. So it will be getting those values from the bean class. So you can declare a model class or a bean class in the Android. So I would say my class name is user, and what it is going to do is, so basically it is just going to extract the contents from that bean class, and it is going to assign those contents. So you can see over here. So what it is doing, it is saying that for label 1, I'm going to say user dot first name, means the first, whatever first name that has been stored in the user, it will be shown in the label 1. Then you would say user dot last name. So whatever last name that has been stored in the user model class, it will be shown in the second level, something like that. So you can see how easy it is. Now in the XML, while creating the mockup or while creating the UI itself, you can declare like in first level what I'm going to show, or in the second level what I'm going to show. So you don't need to write much of Java code over there. So you can see, so this is a class I was talking about. So we are having a basic class called as user, and it is containing two properties, first name and the last name. So it can also have the getters methods over there. So it has got the getter method get first name and get last name over here. And what usually you will do inside your activity or activity is something on create method you would be seeing over here. So it is like a starting point of your screen. So guys, do you know if you are writing a Java application, which method will be a starting point of your application? Which method gets executed first when you run the Java program? Can you tell me in the answer window? So yes, you are absolutely correct. So when you run the Java program, the method that get executed, it is called as main method, right? So main method will be a starting point of your Java application. In the same way, in Android, each screen it is called as activity. So when I say I have got the login screen and I have got the welcome screen, so in Android terminology, you would be calling it as login activity and the welcome activity. So login screen will be a login activity and the welcome screen will be the welcome activity. And what will be the starting point of each screen? So when you move on to the welcome screen from login screen, which method will get executed first in the welcome screen? So each screen has got a onCreate method. Okay. So just to give you the example of the simple app which we developed just now, if you see, if I go into the screen, you can see the onCreate method is automatically got created over there. So it is like public static void main method. It will always be there, and if you don't write this particular method, your application will crash, because whenever you start any screen, Android is always going to look for this particular method over there. So method name is onCreate. So in the data binding concept, what we do? So when your screen starts, you would just initialize your user object with some dummy data. So here I'm initializing it with the test and user, and finally I will say binding dot set user user. Okay, and ultimately what it is going to do over there? So it is basically going to display that particular data on your UI. Okay, so there are a lot of things you can do using the data binding. You can bind the fields into your text field, or in fact you can take a URL and you can actually bind that URL to your image view. So whenever you will run the application, what it is going to do is it is going to display the image from that particular URL. Okay, so you would not find this particular feature in any other programming languages like in iOS or in Windows Mobile, but in Android it's pretty much possible. You can just give the UI to your image view, and what it is going to do, it is just going to download the contents from the internet, something like that. And if anyone want to switch from the iOS to Android, then is there any function to do? Is there any function to do it as Apple did? Uh, I did not get your question, Sanjeev. Sorry. And I got a question from Shubhan. Shubhan, tell about the MIUI UI. So Shubhan, MIUI is just a theme that has been applied to the Android. So it is not about the development. It is just random styles and the themes which has been applied on the existing UI. Is it possible to run an app we made with the help Android Studio in phone without publishing on Play Store? Yes, Sushil, that is pretty much possible. So that's a great question, I would say. So Sushil just asked us a question like, if we create a simple application, is it possible to run that application on the phone without publishing it on the Google Play Store? So yes, guys, that is definitely possible. So what you can do is you can just connect your phone to your computer and install the appropriate drivers. And if you can see over here, so when you connect your mobile phone to your computer, it is going to show you the basically device entry over here. So you can see my device entry is emulator Nexus 5. It means that device has been detected by my laptop and by the Android Studio. So now onwards, whenever you will run the application, this application will automatically get launched on this particular mobile. So yes, that is definitely possible. So Google Play Store, I would say it's just a medium using which you can reach millions of audience out there worldwide. How to achieve backward compatibility for new system? So Prathamesh, if you want to apply use the backward compatibility, so Android comes up with some backward supported API that is called as the support libraries. So yes, so like data binding, then the percentage layout, so all these features which are included in the Marshmallow, they are also available in the earlier versions of Android using the support library. Okay, so it was all about the data binding. So using data binding, basically what you can do, you can just take a model class and you can just bind its data to your layout. And also, as you can see, I was talking about the runtime permissions. So this was like most wanted feature in the Android, because what happens? So whenever you install the application, that time itself it asks you for the all the permissions. But now onwards, application will ask you for the permissions only when they are performing certain tasks. Like if application wants to open the camera, it will ask you the permission that time itself. It is going to open the camera. Do you want to allow it or not? So if you say don't allow, it will not able to open the camera. So what I'll do is I will just zoom the contents so that you can see the clearly. So you can see over here. So now onwards, what will happen? So when you will run the application, that time it will ask you for the permission. So allow application XYZ to access to your contacts. So now the good feature is you can also deny the permissions. There is no mandatory concept as you have to accept the permission every time. Okay. And I've got a question from Usha. Can we create as view only book, which is a view of content? So yes, Usha. So basically, you can port the content of the website to your application also. Yes, but only the design will be different as compared to your website. And what is the cost price? So yes. So the next concept I would like to tell you, like if you want to publish the applications in the Android market, the cost is $25. So $25 is a fee which you will have to pay for publishing the applications in Android market. So it is the yearly subscription, and once you take that particular subscription, you can publish as many applications as you want in the Android market. So per year, you will have to renew your account over there. And yes, sorry, it is configured for both the Mac OS and the iOS over there. Okay, so with that, guys, I would also like you to take you through the Android development course, which is offered by the Edureka. So just give me a second. So basically, the Android development course, which is offered by the Edureka, it is very comprehensive course, which starts right from the basics of the Android. So there are it is a course of 30 hours duration. So this course will be of 30 hours duration, and it will be divided into 10 modules. So each module will be of 3 hours. So sessions happens on the weekends basically. So you would be having 3 hour sessions on the Saturday and on the Sunday. Okay, so it will be basically 5 weeks classes, and what you will be learning in this particular curriculum. So you will be starting with the basic Android applications. We will be looking through the Android architectures, then how you can download and install the Android Studio. We will be seeing what is meant by activity. So as I just told you, like each screen in Android is called as activity. So we are going to check like how basically activities work, how they functions. Then we will be looking at the localization. So in the localization, I would be talking about how you can make an application and port it across different languages. Like I will create an application and I will port it in the English language as well as in Japanese language. So if you run that application on the Japanese device, it will show entire contents in Japanese. So that sort of information. Then we would be talking about the layouts. So layouts are the basic building blocks of your Android application. So basically they define how the elements will be shown on the screen. So you would be having a list layout in which the all the contents will be shown in the list format. You will be having the grid layout in which all the contents will be shown in the grid format. So or something like that. So basically second session will be concentrating on all the kinds of widgets which are available in the Android. Then we would be going into much more detail on the activity. I will be showing you, we will be writing the application for showing the notifications. So notifications are something like if you are using the Android mobile, you must have seen them on the daily basis whenever you get the WhatsApp message, SMS or the missed call. So you always get the notification in the notification panel. So that sort of information we will see. We will be seeing how you can create the audio player as well as the video player. So how you can create an application which can play audio, or how you can create an application which can play the video. So that sort of things we will see. We will see how you can create the custom widgets. So Android comes up with the basic widgets like buttons, radio buttons, but you might have seen a lot of applications as well as a lot of games in which there are a lot of themes are applied to your application. Buttons look something different than the basic Android applications. So we will see how you can achieve those sort of things over there. Okay, and Sanjeev, if you want to create an application for the Android, so yes, definitely. So as I said, there is no such requirement as you should have the detailed knowledge about Java or C++ or Python, but basic knowledge of any object-oriented programming will help you a lot to understand the concept more easily. So whether it is Java, whether it is C++, whether it is Python, as long as you have the basic knowledge about the object-oriented programming, that will do. Okay, so in the session 5, we'll be looking at the storage options which are available in Android. We will see how you can create an application which can store the contents in the file system and all. We will also see how you can create different types of animations in Android. In session 6, we will be creating the application which will communicate with the web services. So Gmail application, Facebook application, WhatsApp application, they usually get the information from the servers, right? So we would be also creating a similar kind of application in which we will be fetching the content from the server side. Then we will be talking about the location and Google Maps. So we will create the application in which you will be displaying the Google Map and you will be fetching users' current location. So all those sort of things. We will also see how you can create the database in the Android and how you can perform the basic root operations, create, read, update, delete. So all these sort of database operations that you do on your desktop system, how you can create such applications in the Android. We will see some third-party libraries which are available to make the developers' life easier. So with writing minimum lines of code, you can achieve maximum functionality using third-party libraries. So basically, third-party libraries are something like that are not provided by the Google, but they are created by the independent contractor developers. So some of the libraries are Picasso for image loading, Butter Knife, Times Square for showing calendar view, and all that sort of things. We will see how you can use the power of the accelerometer as well as gyroscope, how you can create the beautiful application using those hardwares. We will see how you can integrate the Facebook, Dropbox, and Twitter. So you must have seen a lot of applications that are available in market. They have the option. They have the option like login with Facebook, login with Google Plus, and sort of that, right? So we will see how you can create such applications. Finally, I will be talking about how you can publish the application. So we will be taking a live demo on how you can publish the application on the Android Play Store, how you can encrypt your application so that no end user can download your application and decrypt it and see the source code. So I'll be showing you how you can take all those kinds of precautions. Okay, and the trick generally, if you want to publish the app on the App Store, so you have to have the publisher account, which is the paid account, and you usually upload the executable file of your application and you provide some basic details and you publish the application. So it takes almost 5 to 6 hours before your application will become live on the Play Store. Okay, so this is like a general syllabus that you will be learning once you join the course with Android Edureka, and at the end of the course, I'll be also showing you how you can create the end-to-end application. So in the session 10, what we will be doing, we'll be creating an application basically which will use all the concepts that we have learned, like right from the session 1 to session 9. So just to revise all the concept over there. Okay, and guys, for the course fees, you can always visit edureka.co website. So they have got some great discounts running on. So you can just grab that opportunity and you can register for the course with the better discounts. But for the course fees, just visit our Edureka website because course fees is constantly getting updated, and there are plenty of discounts are going on. Okay, and Mega end-to-end app development means we will be taking any live use case and I will be creating a application which will use all the concepts that we have learned in throughout the course. So that is the end-to-end application. Okay, so basically these things and the syllabus is also updated for the latest version of Android Marshmallow. So you will be also learning the data binding. You will be learning how you can basically create the Android percent layout to create the UI with the equal height, equal width. Then I would be also talking about the runtime permissions. So we will be creating the applications which won't ask for the permissions to the user before installing. They will ask for the permission only when the application is accessing or trying to access certain features. So we will be learning to create such kind of application. So using runtime permission, we have the ability to control when and what context you will ask the permission for, and Google Play will not be required to accept the list of permissions. So when you install the application, you would not uh, you will not be accepting all the permission before installing. So you will be installing the app without any permissions, but at the runtime, application will ask for your permission if you want to do certain things over there. Then starting with Android Marshmallow, they also added the concept of app linking. So app linking is something like if you want to share the contents with your friend, you can just select the contents and automatically the target recipient pop-up will come, and you can select your friend's name, and what will happen? Those contents will be shared with your friend. So it is something like a sharing feature that Android Marshmallow has introduced. Okay, so I have got a question from Janki Ram. Should I have to be very good in Code Java? So no, Janki. So basic knowledge of Code Java will do. So if you have the basic knowledge like inheritance, polymorphism, file handling, and abstractions, so pretty much that is good. So I don't expect you to be very good in the network programming or in the collection or in the database programming. So no, only basic knowledge of Java will do over there. Okay, and Revati, I would be, yes. So as a part of this syllabus, we would also be creating an application in which we will see how you can create the different graphics for the applications as well as games. So yes, definitely. So this is a part of the chapter that is called as graphics and animations. So in that particular chapter, I would be showing you guys like how you can create the graphics which are similar to the games that you play on the daily basis. Okay, and is it possible to learn Android development using Linux OS? So yes, guys. So in case if you are using Linux, so the most preferred flavor that is recommended is the Ubuntu. So Android has a very good support for the Ubuntu platform, and in fact, many of the engineers at Google they use the Ubuntu for writing the Android frameworks. So I would say go with the Ubuntu in case if you are planning to develop the Android applications on the Linux. And I got a question from Hema. Are there any criteria on which the app is tested when we publish it? So yes, okay. So I think this is a question from Sushil. So yes, guys. So generally, when you publish the application on the Play Store, so they have the set of scripts that run on your application just to make sure that your application doesn't contain any malware or it doesn't contain any hidden API or something like that. So it is not as strict as Apple because Apple also have a review process and that is more strict than the Android's one. But Android has also started viewing the application in much more detail. Okay, so got a question from Sanchi. If anyone has installed so many apps in his phone but not using much of them, then is there any app to care about? We can to care about it. So yes, Sanjeev, you can also. So that is a very great question. So yes, guys, you can also create an application which can monitor the state of other applications. So in case if any other applications are not using much of the memory, you can just clear out the memory. So yes, so there are plenty of applications which are available on the Play Store, something like Clean Master, C Cleaner. So such kind of application they do this particular task. So ultimately, if you want to develop such kind of application, you need to have the understanding on the activities as well as Android SDK. Okay, so yeah, so it was about the app linking, which was introduced in the Marshmallow, and they also introduced the direct share using which you can directly share the contents with your friend. So these are the few of the new APIs which are available in Marshmallow, and we have taken very special care about we are including all those APIs as a part of our syllabus. So we are going to update our syllabus with all those APIs so that we are making sure that once you complete this particular course, you are ready to create the application using the latest SDK of the Android, which is the Marshmallow, which is present out there. Okay, so what are the requirements for Android development? So Shubham, as I said, the software requirements are you need to have the minimum core to Duo, but I would prefer using core i3, core i5, and core i7, and minimum 2 GB of RAM. And you can basically install Android Studio on any operating system, Windows, Linux, or the Mac operating system. So that's not an issue. And on the software front, you should have the basic knowledge about the object-oriented programming to create the Android applications. And I have got a question from Marcy. Do we have access to the latest course videos after finishing this course? Yes. Mercy. So you will have lifelong access to the videos. So all the sessions will be video recorded. So in case if you miss any session, don't worry because the sessions will be video recorded and they will be uploaded to your LMS Learning Management System account. And you will have access to those videos lifelong. And what about the security features? So Sanjay, there are no much security features that has been introduced in 6.0, but Android has pretty much strong support for using the ProGuard. So ProGuard is the software which you use for obfuscating your application. Okay, so I got a question from Sushil. If I join the course now, these new features will be taught or should I wait till the course is updated? So Sushil, yes. So we are making sure that the course will be updated by the next batch which will be starting. So the very next batch that you will be taking with the Edureka, so it will have the updated contents. Okay, and for creating the Android application, guys, you would require the Android Studio. And how Android OS have been developed? So Hema, Android OS, it's built on the top of, so the base architecture of the Android, it is the Linux kernel, and on top of that, Android has been developed using Java and the C. So core of the Android, it is Linux. And yes, Android emulator is quite slow. Yes, Rahul. So what you can do, you can use the third-party simulator that is called as Motion. So Motion is quite better and it is very it has got good speed as compared to the Android emulator. So you can try out Motion. Okay, and Arpit, the USB Type C introduced for the Marshmallow. So yes, that is on the hardware front. So they came up with the new USB Type, that is USB Type C, and it has been used by the Apple since iPhone, I would say iPhone 5. So this is a new kind of USB type they have invented, and USB Type C will be now, I would say, universal connection type. So now in future, all the mobiles will come up with this particular USB Type C cable. So now even if you have the Android cable, you can connect that particular cable to the iPhone and charge the things. Okay, and guys, for upcoming Android batch, you can always check out on the Edureka website. So they always have the latest schedule on when the next batch of the Edureka is starting, and you can always get that particular information. So we always have quite a few batches starting every month. So just have a look on the Edureka website to get the further dates. And Shubham, for developing the application for the Android, the language that you would have to learn is the core Java. So Java program language we will be using for creating the Android application. We also use the XML language for creating the UI. So basically XML is quite simple language. So even if you don't have much understanding on the XML, that is all fine. Okay, so any other questions, guys, regarding course curriculum? Any other questions? And this course will include the Android programming language, Shubham. So you would be learning the entire Android programming language to create the Android applications. Okay, so one question I have received from Usha: Can we deploy app developing Android Studio in App Store as well? So Usha, App Store, I'm not sure which App Store you're talking about, but whatever applications that you will be developing using the Android Studio, you can deploy the applications on the Android App Store. There is iOS App Store also, but yeah, obviously you would able to only deploy iOS applications on that. But using Android Studio, you can create the applications which can deploy on the Amazon Play Store as well as on the Google Play Store. And Sanjeev, for a list of all the courses which are offered by the Edureka, you can always check out the Edureka website. So we also have the webinar coming up for the iOS application development. So you can also attend that particular webinar where I will be talking about how you can create the applications for the iPhone platform. And we have a batch running on the iPhone which is scheduled to start next month. So in case if you are more interested in joining the iOS course, you can always check out that particular batch and the webinar. And would there be any certification exams after? So yes, Alpit. So at the end of the course, we would be asking you to create a small certification project, and which you would be creating, and I would be guiding you for creating that particular project. And based on the project, you will be getting your certificates. So yes, the certifications will be provided by the Edureka. And guys, so in case if you want to take the online course with the Edureka, the minimum speed that is recommended is the 2 Mbps. So you would have a smooth experience because what we will be doing, I will be sharing my screen like what we are doing today, and I will be teaching you live in the class. So I would prefer using 2 Mbps, minimum 2 Mbps speed internet, so that you will have a smoother experience and there would not be any lag or something like that on your end. Okay, and in case if you have the connection speed which is less than 2 Mbps, so I would just recommend that at least take a connection which is having 1 Mbps to 2 Mbps speed. And we would be providing the class recording. So yes, guys. So at the end of every class, we will be giving you the class recording video link. So you will have access to that particular video lifelong and the PPT as well. Yes, guys. So code snippets, PPT, and the class recording will be available to you right after the class, right after every session over there. Okay, and the classes timing would be, guys, so mostly the classes will be conducted on the weekends at around 7 to 10 a.m. IST, that is India Standard Time, or 8:30 to 11:30 p.m. in the PM. So either of those. Okay, so thank you guys for attending this particular webinar, and I really hope to see you all in our Android development course, which would be very fun, and we would be creating a lots of applications. And by the end of the course, you will be creating one live applications with me. Okay, so thank you very much for your time, guys, and stay tuned for our upcoming webinar on the Swift application development in iOS. So I will be taking out this particular webinar in coming week. So please check Edureka website quite frequently, and so you can always visit the Edureka website and you can get the information about our upcoming webinars. Okay, so thank you very much for you guys. Have a great day. Bye. Good night.